Of the two basic types, I have what's called a gas fireplace. There's a glass in front of it, so the flames are sealed back behind that glass, and it ignites usually with a switch on the wall. The other type is called a gas log fireplace. It's similar, it's just that the glass is not there, and you open up the doors and the flames are exposed. It looks a little bit more like a real wood-burning fireplace. There's a gas line, obviously, that comes from the main gas line in the house that feeds the gas to the gas fireplace or the gas logs. There is quite often two ways you could turn that gas off at the fireplace. The first one is a gas valve, and mine's right down here on the wall, that's where most of them are, in the wall or on the floor near the fireplace. In addition to that one, there's one underneath. There's a small gas valve, it's just a quarter turn valve, it's what's called a ball valve, and it's right down here. Not all fireplaces have both, but every single one should have at least one of those two. You want to have a place where you can turn the gas off at the fireplace, whether it's in the wall, in the floor, underneath. You want to have at least one of those. In addition, underneath, that's where you usually have the igniter. Some people call it a plunger. It's a little red button that you push to ignite the fireplace. And we'll get to how to do that in a minute. In addition to the igniter, you have a control valve. Whether you want to set it to the pilot light setting when you're igniting the pilot light, if you want to turn it all the way off, then the gas stops, or if you want to adjust the flames. There's a lot of different things under there that you may need to use. There are two basic ignition sources, two different ways you can ignite a fireplace. The first is electronic ignition, which I like that one. It basically, no gas is flowing, there's no flame. You flip the wall switch and then you hear this tick, 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 and that's a spark, and then it causes the flames to ignite. I like that one because when it's off, it's off. The second and most common way to ignite a fireplace is with a standing pilot light. What that means is there's always a flame inside. There's always gas flowing, it's always ready to go. When you flip the switch on, it ignites the fireplace, and then you turn it off, the flames go away, the standing pilot light stays lit. That's something you see more often than the electronic ignition. When it comes to a standing pilot light, some people like to turn them off in the summer. You know, you don't use your fireplace from May to September, October, you shut it down, you don't have to worry about it. I asked the fireplace specialist one time about that. I said, should you leave it on? He said, you actually should leave the pilot light on year round. Don't ever turn it off. What happens is you turn it off, and then where the pilot light sits, the thermocouple, things like that, they can get dirty. So then you go to turn it on in October, November, and it won't light. You can't get your pilot light to stay lit. So he said just leave it on. The glass will be slightly warmer than if the pilot light was off, and it costs $3 to $4 a month. So those few bucks a month saves you from having a $150, $200 service call every fall to get the pilot light working. So fireplace specialist, you can do it however you want, but he told me just to leave it on. Lighting a pilot light isn't hard once you've done it a few times. And the principles that we're going to talk about are the same whether it's a gas fireplace like mine, or if it's a gas log fireplace, even a water heater, gas fire pit outside. All the principles are the same when it comes to a standing pilot light. Sometimes the hardest part when you're going to light a pilot light is being able to see it. Have to be able to see where the pilot light is, otherwise you won't know when it's ignited. Sometimes it's difficult to get a good vantage point with a gas fireplace, but it just takes a little practice and you'll be able to see it pretty easily. The difference between lighting a gas fireplace and a gas log fireplace, or a water heater and a gas fire pit outside, is the ignition source. Fireplaces like this have that spark created by the igniter, the push button underneath that creates a spark. If you have a gas log fireplace or potentially a fire pit outside, you actually need a flame. So get one of those, long match electronic matches. That's what you would need to ignite the fireplace. For these purposes, we're going to obviously light a gas fireplace with the igniter. Again, all the principles are the same. It's just if you don't have the igniter, you're using a match. Just be very, very careful when you use that match. Don't let gas build up because then you could be causing a fire hazard. First thing you have to do is get to where the igniter is, which is down here at the bottom. The gas valve, the supply line, the igniter, everything you need to ignite the fireplace is usually located below. Most of the time there's just a drop down door that allows you to access that. Every once in a while there are some you have to take off some metal strips to get back there. They just pop off and pop back on. Keep in mind that if you have a double-sided fireplace, sometimes all these components are on the back side. So if you don't see them here, you'd go open up the other side, and that's how you ignite it. So what you want to do is position yourself to where you can see the pilot light, and then we'll go over the steps on how to actually light it. It's a little bit difficult to show this process with such tight quarters, but basically, see there are two components. The first one is the gas control knob, which is this one, and then the igniter, which is this red button over here. When you are going to light the pilot light, you want to have it turn to where pilot aligns with the indicator on the ring around that valve. You can see mine is just a little red knob right there. So you go to where that pushes in. You'll feel it physically go farther than if it was in any other position. Then you hit the spark igniter. Now, it doesn't usually go on the first time. You have to do it 4, 5, 6 times sometimes if it has been working for a while. The reason you have to be able to see the pilot light is once it lights, you have to keep your thumb where it is. Don't let go of this right away. Sometimes if it hasn't been lit for a while, you've got to keep it on there for 20, 30 seconds while the pilot light ignites. Once it ignites and you start to pull your thumb off, it stays lit, then that's perfect. Then all you have to do is spin this knob around till on is at the bottom and you're ready to go. Now that you know some of the basics about gas fireplaces and especially how to light the pilot light, at this point you should be able to keep it running all the time and be able to use it whenever you want.